Hi friends. Hey, I'm going to talk to you about something that's actually been available to a defendant in Superior Court. It's called TASC. And if you got popped with possession of just about any kind of drug, you had the alternative to go through the TASC, I don't want to call it a rehab program, but through the TASC program to get counseling, drop UAs for a year, pay a fee, and then have the charges dismissed. Well, TASC is no longer available. It's been replaced by SAGE Counseling. And now SAGE Counseling is not only available for drug offenders and, again, possession cases. I'm not talking about huge quantities or transportation for sale or sale of drugs, but for users, first offense, and someone that does not have a violent prior. But beyond the drug counseling, and there's 3 tracks you can go through depending upon the severity of your, we'll call it your habit. You now have the possibility of any class 4, 5, or 6 felonies other than drug offenses that aren't violent, again, to go through this program, 3 more different kinds of tracks, depending upon what the offense is and what your behavioral problems are or mental health issues are, and work toward getting those charges dismissed as well. Back when I started practicing law 33 years ago, a TASC type of diversion program was available for all kinds of felonies, but class 4, 5s, and 6s beyond drugs. Then they got so busy, it just narrowed down to drug offenses. Now we're back to the way we were over 30 years ago, so that you could conceivably work off your charges that are other than drug offenses. This is a great opportunity for somebody that screws up, and it was a one-time deal, and they obviously don't want a felony conviction because, as you know, that follows you for the rest of your life in terms of employment, credit, getting an apartment, renting a house. It's virtually impossible if you're a convicted felon to do all sorts of things. And you can't own a gun. You can't possess a gun. You'll never qualify in Arizona or under federal law, and state law to be able to get a gun. So this is a good way to work that off and get everything behind you. There'll always be a record of your arrest, whatever the offense is, but the entry should be dismissed because if you get through the program, whether it be drugs or something other than drugs in a nonviolent manner, then it'll show dismissed because the county attorney's office will file a motion to dismiss because you've completed the program. The issue is twofold. You have 2 years to complete the program satisfactorily. And then the second part is restitution is capped at $2,000. In other words, if you ended up stealing something and otherwise eligible for this program through SAGE Counseling, if the amount of money that the victim is owed is greater than $2,000, you don't qualify. So if you burglarize a non-residential structure and take $3,000 worth of things, you don't qualify. So it all depends on the monetary loss by the victim. And the second thing is if you don't complete it within 2 years, that's it. You don't get another chance. And part of the intake process is you have to admit to the offense. So then the state ends up proceeding with the prosecution, and since they've got your statement that says, I did all these things, they've got a bit of an advantage. Another issue with restitution is you have to pay half of it up front. So in other words, if you owe $2,000 in restitution to the alleged victim, you better come in when you start the program with $1,000 in your pocket. Otherwise, again, you're not eligible to participate in the SAGE program. So in reality, it's a great opportunity when you screw up just once to get rid of everything, but there's some qualifiers, which is what I just spoke of. Good luck to you if you enter into the program, but that's one of the options you have as opposed to trying to get a plea agreement, which would undoubtedly most of the time end up with a felony conviction. Hope that helps you out. Good luck. Bye-bye.
This posted video is in no way specific legal advice on any subject. It is intended to provide general information for the public. If you need specific legal advice, call Chuck at 480-545-0700.